Hi everyone, welcome again to the RISE Careerwise Get Hired Summit. And today we have with us Ankur Goel, who does large scale hiring. He was the perfect first person I thought of when I realized I wanted to bring to you hiring tech processes from the tech world. He also has another company which is into BFSI hiring, but Ankur specializes in tech, and we're going to focus on that with him. With that, he also has one or two other ventures that he's just been very passionate about and dived into, but we will let him share about that. So I'll try and bring out as much as I can from Ankur to see how the tech hiring happens, how we can leverage, how we can do better in those interviews and get that dream job, whether it's as a fresher or also if you're looking for a change. So Ankur, welcome to Rice Careerwise Get Hired Summit, and thank you so much for taking the time out to do this interview.
Thanks, Vinee. Thanks for calling me for this conversation with you. I'm really excited, and I hope I will be able to answer some of your questions and which will be helpful for your viewers.
I'm sure. So tell us a little bit more about yourself beyond what
Sure.
I've just introduced,
Right.
and then we'll dive straight into what's going on right now in these pandemic COVID times.
Absolutely. So, thanks, Vinee. So, Vinee, I am Ankur, as you, and I am Calcutta alumni. So, I started Neerinfo Solutions, which is a hiring firm long way back in 2005. Over these 15 years, we helped many large IT services company, Fortune 500 customers in scaling their talent landscape. We help in transforming their talent pool from 0 to 100, done a lot of transformation hiring from middle management to higher level management hiring. So I think over the period of time, we have done hiring in India and the North America market. And we started with a team of 2 people in 2005, and now we have scaled up to more than 100 people. So we have retained this 100 people even at this pandemic situation because we are confident that our customers will rebound with V-shaped recovery.
That's lovely. So I think I'm just going to pick the word that you said. You're confident your customers are going to rebound, which
Right.
also means that there's hope. It's not like that this is going to be, of course, it will be a long haul, but it's not going to be all depression for the long haul.
Of
So,
course.
yeah. So tell us, are companies hiring right now? And what are the kind of organizations or industries that are hiring? And also, I want you to highlight if are they hiring or focusing on certain roles that have become really prominent post these times? Are there certain roles that they have completely stopped hiring on? And what do you think about that? Have they become redundant for good? So, what is gaining prominence? What has emerged and what has become redundant?
See, Vidhi, if you look at me, the companies are not hiring Tom, Dick, and Harry anymore, right? So the companies, so gone are the days when they were hiring in big time. Of course, the days will come back again. But at this point in time, the companies are hiring in different pockets. So when I say different pockets, the companies are hiring more value jobs rather than anything else. So there is a lot of push for the digital hiring. There is a lot of push for transformation. So companies are hiring a lot of domain experts these days because that's the need of an hour. There's a lot of hiring is happening around digital technologies, and the companies are hiring for the futuristics. So companies are not hiring for, and there are a lot of churning is happening at a leadership level as well because the company has realized that they need a leader who can transform their business, especially at these pandemic situations. So there are a lot of hirings that started happening, and most of the hirings are happening in transformations. The people who can help the company to transform from one level to another level. So I think the hiring is started picking up. And if I talk about my organization, so I think from April to July, on an average, we were having 15 to 20% positions. We were working at an utilization level of 15 to 20%. Starting from 1st of September, our utilization has grown up by 70%. But this 70% is equivalent to more than 100% in terms of the time and the efforts we are putting in. Because as I said, these are more value jobs hiring which we are doing. So I think the time is changing, and we're looking forward that this will continue, and there will be a lot of recovery with the enterprises level.
And Ankur, I know that you do a lot of hiring in mid management and senior management.
Right.
What is the situation for these freshers? What about the engineers? Is that has that slowed down? Is it picking up back to 70% as well? Or
See, unfortunately, Vinny, I keep on reading a lot of blogs on LinkedIn, especially when the freshers are saying that they are the most unlucky people because of this pandemic. Their batch 2020 is the worst batch ever in the history. They're most affected. No doubt about it, because many organizations has revoked their offers, right? Many companies have postponed their joining date. So, but yes, at time, I will not say every company has done that. The many companies have also honored, and they have made this candidate join virtually. But having said that, yes, these are the freshers which has been severely impacted, but I'm sure with the sign of recovery we are anticipating, these freshers will be called soon for a joining, and I think there is a sign of recovery started happening, and they just have to respite around it.
I think that's really good in a way that there's hope that hiring is going to come back to normal.
Yeah, so you also asked about mid management and the senior management,
Yes.
right? So
Yes.
I just wanted to add on some pointers about here as well. So yes, there are lot of roles which will become redundant, which are already become redundant because say if you are doing a pure play project management role, or you are doing a pure play coordination role, right? So those roles will become redundant because a lot of companies have started implementing automations and tools in place, right? So until and unless you are not agile in your nature, you are not agile in adoption, I think your roles will become redundant. So it's very important, irrespective of the role position you are holding in any organization, you have to reskill, upskill yourself, and you have to learn on new areas of dimensions to make sure you are in the industry.
My question also is actually a little bit even more specific than that. So
Yeah,
let's say you had a JD or a role description, okay,
right.
and you'd have multiple, right? Whether it's coders, whether it's programming, whether it's support. I'm just saying, what are the ones that have seen a bigger drop, and what are the ones that you think, oh, let's say if
See,
we're talking.
support and maintenance will continue because if some companies have already signed off the maintenance for 5 years, right, they have to continue with the support and the maintenance.
Right.
But yes, more support and maintenance may have a long haul for the time being, and there will be a push for the digital transformation. So everyone is talking about digital transformation for a better customer experience. So better the customer experience, whether it's a B2C or whether it's a B2B. So there will be a lot of push for better customer experience, and companies are going left, right, center to make sure they are at their best in terms of customer experience. So I think if so, I give you a very small example around it. Even if you are a vegetable seller, right, and if you are not adapting to a technology, right, and you are not giving a better customer experience, maybe they are using a WhatsApp business, right? They are able to compete better than the competition, right? So I think this is the need of an hour to of a digital push at any level, irrespective of the business size you are in.
Okay, and the more you're talking, the more I'm hearing you say that everything is moving digital, getting to the whole digitalization zone, and
Yeah.
you've got to be agile, get adapted to everything that's digital. What about those who haven't pursued a career in tech? What about people who didn't take to coding, who were doing other things which were maybe management, roles which did not include software or programming or tech? Uh, what do you see is happening with them? How do they get digitalized? What can they start upgrading themselves with? Because they have definitely made an effort, spent efforts trying to skill themselves in their academics, in their education, maybe even in their jobs. So now, how do they move? What this agility that you're talking about? How can I be agile in a space and switch to digital? What are the first couple of things you think I could get started with?
I wanted to add 2 pointers over here, right? So one is for the engineering graduates and one is non-engineering graduates. So engineering, so gone are the days when you got an opportunity in tech sector to work only if you are an engineering graduate or you are a management graduate, right? So now even you are a graduates who have done graduation in, say, for an example, in bachelor's in architecture, or you have done bachelor's in design, you can also get into the tech industry because you can be a better user experience designer than anyone else. If you have done bachelor's in mathematics or you have done bachelor's in statistics, right, you can be a better data analyst or you can be a better data scientist than anyone else, right? So I think there are many dearth of opportunities are opening for the for other engineering graduates who can get into the tech sector. So that's one thing. If you are an engineering graduate and you are stuck up in your career, right, for any of one of the reasons, because you are working on some legacy technology, you're not working on the digitization or you're not working on digital technologies. So I think you should start looking yourself to upskill yourself to transform in the existing organization, existing projects. That's the best way of getting into digitization. If you are an opportunity, right? If you don't have an opportunity internally, then I would suggest you should. There are many virtual and online courses are available. So you should enroll yourself with Udemy. You should enroll with Simply Learn, an Academy. There are so many online courses are available in the market. You should start enroll those courses based on your interest, based on your choice, right? So don't get into any course which not of your interest. If you're not a code lover, don't get into which is very high on coding, right? And you can get into a digital marketer. You can become maybe a UX designer. So there are many such opportunities are there. So I think you just have to look into yourself, who you are and who I am, and what good I am at, and where I should contribute myself to upskill or uplearn my area of expertise.
So I think, yeah, I think that makes sense because you're saying that even in tech there are so many verticals where you can start
Yeah,
contributing.
even there are a lot of shared services. Many Fortune 500 companies across the globe have started setting up the shared services in India, and there will be a lot of push in next couple of years.
There are avenues. It's not that you just have to start
Yeah,
getting.
stick around with one thing, right? If you will stick around with one thing, then that means you are not having the attitude and the agility to change yourself, right? So you have to move around, right? So I think the time is changing with a fast pace, and so on the technology and so on the industry, right? So I think really need to move fast. Really need to adapt with the way the time is changing.
Okay, so now with all of this that is happening, Ankur, where does diversity and inclusion play a role, or is it going to now take a backseat again, where it had suddenly become something that organizations were starting to take seriously? So, I want to understand, how is diversity and inclusion as today, even as a purpose, how is that going to impact hiring practices? Uh, uh, am I going to again start seeing differences, parity, all of these? Just shed some light on it.
See, I rather think that this is a blessing in disguise of this pandemic that the diversity hiring will increase. You know,
Okay.
say if you're not very unconscious, if you are not biased in your hiring process, right? So if you're not biased in your hiring process, because I can give you an example. See, there are many women who generally leave the role and the position with the organization because they have because of the location, or they have to travel all the way long to the to the respective office location, right? With this pandemic, every one of us is working remotely, right? And this is going to become a new normal. And if it is going to become a new normal, then you know you need not to travel all the way long to the office, and or you need not to relocate to some other location. So I think this becomes a blessing in disguise for especially the women or who wanted to restart their career, and So I think the diversity in any which ways will increase over the period of time. So that, as far as you said, the agenda of diversity and inclusion will change or not, right? For many of the organizations, I think it will continue because the most of the companies who are already at a matured stage, who are already have seen the difference of bringing diversity in the workforce, has actually translated into a lot of business problems, who have solved complex business problems over the years. So I think the more diverse workforce you have in the workplace, they can solve better business problems than anyone else. So I think the companies have started looking this as a seriously,
So I
and
think,
yeah.
yeah, sorry, go on.
Yeah, so I think diversity and inclusion is a very important aspect. And just to add over here, so I've also carved out one vertical from Neerinfo Solutions, our hirings. We are actually developing a tech platform, tech product, wherein we will be helping organizations to achieve their diversity and inclusion goals. So we are coming up with an AI tool. We are also coming up with an AI tool because we have also transformed ourselves, right? We have to also transform. And I think every adversity has an opportunity. So so this adversity has came to transform our thought process, the way we look at our business as usual.
And so, is this platform helping organizations promote diversity and inclusion, or
Yeah.
hire to be? I mean, is it with regard to hiring practices or with regard to performance practices?
So this is about two things. It is just to remove the unconscious biasness in your overall hiring process because see, not this is not because of individual they wanted to be biased against some of the community, but it is in our unconscious mind that we becomes biased, right? In our overall hiring process at times with some of the genders. So I think this we are coming up with an AI tool which will help most of the hiring managers to choose the candidate irrespective of race, religion, caste, and sexism. So they can they can and they so that AI will help them to find out the best of the candidate out of the system irrespective of any of these things. That's one of the product which we are launching, I think in a beta version maybe by next month. Another thing, we are also coming up this platform will also help to promote their life and culture, right? About who they are, as an organizations, because there are lot of stereotypes in many human beings if they are part of the diversity and inclusions that they don't want it to join any workplace because there are a lot of taboos around that, right, for them. So I think we would like to showcase their life and culture in our platform so that we can helping those organizations to promote about the diversity and inclusions culture in the workplaces.
Right.
These are
It's
the
a
two
very
things.
interesting point also about women, actually, because we didn't look at it that way. But now more women also will be willing to work. And I think the more
Yeah,
women
of course.
are willing and putting themselves out there, the more organizations will also find value in hiring them. Because I think the whole concept has not just been that we don't like you because you're a woman, but organizations for ages have been feeling that women will not deliver as much or will not be around as much as men would. And I think that that notion totally changes with the work from home perspective, because
Absolutely.
women are raring to go and they will be more available.
Right.
Very, very interesting. So tell me one thing. How is hiring taking place now? How are you managing to recruit? Or you said your practices have scaled up in terms of the quality, in terms of the hiring. So how are you managing to do this remotely? How is this remote hiring working? And how are you tapping into this whole diverse workforce now that you
Yeah.
also want to focus on D&I?
Right.
How are you managing to do that?
See, I know see, we also took some time. So I think the first 3 months, we also improved our internal tools and platforms. So we have also implemented some automations in our overall, so we have implemented a software which is more of an agile, which we have created as sprints, right, within the team, right? So this team has taking an assignment on a sprint basis rather than just delivering on any of the open roles, right? So we becomes So I think our hiring and sourcing methodology has become more agile, what we used to do at pre-COVID times. So I think the more technology and tools you will adapt in your overall business process, it will help in improvising to deliver it best for your customers. But I think this is helping us better, and interestingly, because we are into this recruiting business, so our 80% of our headcount is females. Right? So our yeah, so our 80% of, so they are more than happy that they are working from home. So they are not bothered to to wake up early and to take care of their household things and then coming to office. So I think now they are really relaxed and they are very happy that they got this as an opportunity to work from home. And I think post COVID-19 also many service industries, maybe including us, so our 50% of our headcount will be remote, permanently will be working from home because we are getting results, and they are, and in fact the results are better than the pre-COVID days.
That's brilliant. You said that, of course, now tech is going to be a huge support, and AI will be a huge support in
Right.
your business, in recruitment. So is it always going to be a support and help, or is AI going to replace humans in this entire hiring process?
So there are a lot of debates are happening around on this, right? So there are many companies who have started implementing AI, and so we are, right? We are also implementing an AI to remove unconscious biasness in your overall hiring process. But I think hiring is always an art, right? And AI is a science. So you cannot replace art with science completely. You cannot replace art with science completely. It will be a mix of art and science, of course. AI will help you to automate many things, but it cannot replace human beings. AI can help you to fasten your hiring process. It can help you to give you a lot of automated reports. It will help you to improvise your governance model. It will help you to remove unconscious biasness in your overall hiring process. It will help you to tap uncapped talent pool from your existing database. So that's what AI can do. But AI cannot replace human beings in terms of handholding with the candidates. It cannot. AI cannot replace with negotiating with the candidates, right? And AI cannot understand the psychology of a candidate, right? So I think it is still we are very. So I think it will be a combination of both art and science, and so I think the recruiter has, as we are also the recruiter, so we also have to start become more of a talent advisor rather than just a sourcer enabler.
Well said. So tell me, what do you look for in a candidate, given that the qualifications that a JD requires are hygiene factor?
Hmm.
When you're recruiting, what do you look for, and what are the skills that you think are really critical, irrespective of industry or qualifications?
So it all depends. If I'm hiring a fresher, then I will just look an attitude, right? And the agility to perform in any situations. So I think, but if I'm hiring an experienced person, right? If I'm hiring an experienced person, then of course the basic primary skills will be the key. But more important than primary skills is again the adaptation, the attitude to learn new things, right? And to start solving more complex problems than just working on a desk. So I think these are some of the key traits which most of the hiring managers have started looking at it. So so every organization, because of this pandemic happened, so they don't wanted the candidate to be just perfect in what they are into. They really wanted to be little agile, to adapt new technologies, and be little flexible to explore horizons, new horizons, so that they can get best out of them.
So flexibility, adaptability, agility,
Yeah, yeah,
sustainability.
right.
That's
So I think that's is something what most of the hiring managers have started looking at it. So if you are a typically and most, and I've also seen one change in the recent time. So they are not looking specifically you are doing this and that, right? If you have a combination of two three industries and a combination of multiple skill set, that is something will be the best chances of you to get hired, because you have explored industry than someone else, right? And that shows your agility and the adaptability of working in different environment at different point in time. So I think these are some of the things which I have seen in the recent times the companies are looking at in a talent pool.
I think that's well said, because I do notice that even when I look at profiles now that I want to hire,
Right.
you end up naturally oscillating towards profiles that show that they are open to not just I am this and this is all that I will do and know, but who are ready to sort of adapt into a slightly more expansive role, and that gives the comfort. And largely, whenever so I've done a couple of uh, recruitments recently for my own firm, and I've realized that those profiles actually turned out better, and
Yeah,
others
of
were
course.
just like they could not, even if they had to work within their framework, they were feeling very, very rigid, because then it's, I think the limiting beliefs start limiting even your qualifications within what you want to pursue. But a learnability skill is just something that lets you expand within, I mean, go deeper in your own expertise, and also look at related things that you can contribute value to.
Absolutely.
I think
That's
that's
true.
really nice. So now tell me, we have some questions from the audience, Ankur. So I've
Okay.
picked one or two that I thought which were most suited for you, because
Sure.
you've done
Sure.
such extensive hiring and recruitment. And while I know you do a lot more of mid management, tell me, how can one apply for an off campus job? So if it's not at campus.
Right. So I think if you look at the candidates who have recently passed out, right, or the candidates who are going to pass out in 2021, right. So there was a two set of there are two set of pool of candidates, right, who will be applying for an off-campus interview. So if you are already 2020 passed out, and so don't get demotivated because of you are a class of 2020. Yes, this is a bad year for everyone, and so you are. So I think yeah, the important is I would suggest three steps. The first step, you should be available in all the job boards. You should be available in all leading job boards, like the job boards which supports the freshers hiring or the campus hiring or the off-campus hiring. So to name few are like freshersword.com, firstnaukri.com. And then you should be participating in a lot of hackathons, right? If you are a tech lover, if you are a code lover, and unfortunately you haven't got placed in any of the organization because of this pandemic as a situation, then because if you are participating in lot of hackathons, then you are actually helping yourself to upskill in some of the emerging technologies. And these hackathons will actually value add when you are applying for any of the off campuses. So this will value add in your overall scorecard. And the third and important thing is there are many companies who actually accept the e-litmus and the co-cubes of the word test. So there are two platforms, e-litmus and co-cubes, and there may be few more platforms. Some can Google it and find out. These are the companies. So many enterprises are taking the test of these companies a valid score, and to make a eligibility for a candidate to apply for an off-campus. So I think these are the three things which any fresher has to start looking at himself to apply for an off-campus. And don't waste any of your day, right? Even you don't have a job, that's okay. You should start upskilling yourself, or you should learn anything new in this new norm, right? So probably there are a lot of online courses are available. A lot of courses are available which is just available in some hundred of bucks of rupees. So like in Udemy, you can subscribe to any course for just 400 or 500 rupees, and that it will give you the perspective of some of the emerging technologies, how the industry is moving, so on and so forth. So I think that's my take on for the off campus.
I think that's brilliant, and that's very insightful. Like, I think specific answers, I love those, because that's a clear direction, right? So one can just map their journey and say, hey, I've done this, and now my chances hopefully increase. So
Yeah.
that's insightful. What about pay scales? Have they changed today? If I want to, whether, maybe I already have 10 years of work X or 15 years of work X. And I'm looking at a change because, well, the pandemic made me realize that, hey, um, I'm not happy where I am. I want to change. I have the qualifications. At this stage, what should my pay scale? Am I going to drive away an employer? Is he going to think I'm arrogant? What should my expectation be with regard to the pay scale? Can it still be what it was pre-pandemic? Has it increased or is it the same?
I think this is little tricky questions, Vinny. So, but somehow I wanted to answer this. So I think it's all about demand and supply, right? So if you are in demand, then of course you will be paid as per your you know skill sets. But if you are not in demand, then of course you have to compromise, right? As simple as that. So there are many, as we just talk about the rose coded intent, right? Many people have laid off during this pandemic period. You are in need of a job. So I think you need to be a little flexible in terms of the pay scale in that case, right? So I think important is to look at where you can shape up your career. Don't look at the pay scale at this point in time. Maybe consider this as an investment for yourself, right? You're starting an opportunity wherein the space scale may not be as per your expectations, but you are just giving you a platform or a foundation to upskill or scale yourself to the next level. So I think it all depends on demand and the supply. So if you are in demand for any specific digital technology, say today there are a lot of emerging technologies have come up and came up, and not really right now, but over the period of time. So if you are a cloud architect, if you are a security analyst, because if you are an infrastructure guy, or you are working on any of the digital technologies, or you are working on AR, you are working on VR, you are working on artificial intelligence, you are working on RPA, then of course these are the technologies you are in demand, right? But if you're working on a pure play project managers and you wanted to shift your career to the digital, then probably upskill and uplearn in some of by enrolling for some of the courses, or you should be little flexible in joining an organization which is giving you this as a platform and opportunity to grow from a career standpoint.
That's fantastic. Okay, we are going to get to the more quick, fun part now.
Okay.
I call it the quick hire and fire round. And Ankur, you will give great perspectives on this. One line answers.
Okay.
What, according to you, is a big hit? Like when you see a candidate, you know this is a definite hire.
So I think I have been calling out again and again in my discussions that someone who is an open and flexible, right, and who is willing to learn new things. So that is something uh, is a short hire for me. So the name which will strike to my mind if I wanted to do something new, right? So that is something which I would be looking at in a talent pool.
Nice. And the one thing that's a surefire miss, like you know that this is sure shot fire, cannot happen.
So I think again this is the same thing. So who is very fixed, who they are, they don't want it to, who is not flexible at all, and I'm not, I'm not agile, I'm not collaborative, I'm not team player, right? So that is something will be my pick for this.
Oh.
Sorry.
And what's your favorite interview question?
So I always ask, if I'm hiring for my own team, I always ask why I should hire you, right? What value proposition you bring on the table. I would never look at someone with pedigree as such, right? Because if you are a recruiter, you should be passionate about who you are and what you wanted to do, right? So unfortunately, recruitment is part of your HR umbrella, but somehow I always feel that recruitment is no more than selling some bodies, right? Because end of the day, you are selling your roles and company to the candidates. Right? So I think this is something what I always look at in a candidate.
So, one last question, Ankur.
Sure.
Assuming you are at a place or at a podium where there are thousands of job aspirants listening to you, and these could be anyone, whether it's freshers, whether it's mid management, senior, anyone who's aspiring for a job at a time like this, what's the one key message you will give them? So, in these times.
See, every one of us is living in very uncertainties, right? And the future, we don't know about the future because, see, starting of the 2020 looks very bluesome for every one of us, right? Even everyone has put a formulation, a strategy in place, and they were talking about 20% growth, 30% growth. We will, every industry, right? Most of the industry sectors were looking at this growth path. And unfortunately, this pandemic came in between, and our first quarter contracts by 24%. And I think on an average, as per the analyst, this contract, the average contract, we will be contract by on an average by 8 to 10%. So having said that, so we all are living in very uncertainties, right? We don't know about the future. So it's important to, I think, wherever you are, at what level and position you are holding, it's important to adapt the dynamics of a system which will help to meet the objectives and the outcomes of the business. So that's my take on this, irrespective of level of experience you are holding in any of the organization.
Okay, fabulous. This has been a very insightful interview. Ankur, thank you so much for making it and for sharing all your amazing nuggets of wisdom.
Yeah, thank you, Vinny. Thanks for calling me for this. I hope I could be able to make some difference for some of the job experience and
I
someone
am
who really
very
wanted to.
sure you will. I am very sure this has been a great interview.
Thank you, Vinny.